शलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्रीराधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश। नम ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So welcome back to the Nectar of Devotion Summary Study, the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, written by Rupa Goswami and commented by Jiva Goswami as well as Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So we have up till now seen the definition of Raganuga Bhakti, then the definition of Ragatmika Bhakti, and the two types of Ragatmika Bhakti and the scriptural proof for it, and how both the demons and the devotees don't attain the same destination, Brahmalayam. The scriptural proof also was given by Rupa Goswami. Now, having defined that there are these two types of Ragatmika Bhakti, now first Rupa Goswami goes into Kama Rupa Ragatmika Bhakti. Okay, so let us see what is Kama Rupa Ragatmika Bhakti. Tatra Kama Rupa Sa Kama Rupa Sambhoga Trishnam Yanayati Swatam Yadasyam Krishna Saukartham Eva Kevalam Udyama. That bhakti of the type, that type of bhakti with full absorption in the beloved is called Kama Rupa Bhakti. Sa Kama Rupa, which produces Ya Nayati, an intrinsic thirst for a conjugal relationship with the Lord in the Atma. It is not in the body, it is not in the mind, it is in the Atma. Conjugal relation, Swatam, Swatam means Swa Atma it is. Sambhoga Trishnam, conjugal relation. Trishna means intrinsic thirst. It is called Bhakti because Yad, in that condition, Asyam, there is only eagerness for giving pleasure to Krishna. Krishna Saukya Artham Eva Kevalam Udyama. So this sambhoga, this conjugal relationship is only eagerness to give pleasure to Krishna. So that is how Rupa Goswami completely clarifies in his definition of Kama Rupa. Now let us see Jiva Goswami's explanation. Kama should be described as a particular type of prema with full spontaneous absorption in the beloved object. It is a particular type of prema. And last class, many devotees, when I was asking the question, which type of bhakti this is, they are telling prema bhakti, prema. No, all are prema bhaktas, the Vaikuntavasis, even the Vrajvasis, but they are in different rasas. Dasya prem is there, Sakya prem is there, Vatsalya prem is there, and Madhurya prem is there. That is the Madhurya ras. So there is this particular type of prema where there is full spontaneous absorption in the beloved object, which is already mentioned in the definition of Ragatmika Bhakti. Already in the Ragatmika Bhakti, we saw that definition. Ishte swarasiki raga paramavishtata yo bhavet tanmay ya bhavet bhakti sa ragatmika ojita uchita, it was said. Tanmay means, there is full absorption in it. And ishte swarasiki, there is spontaneous raga, spontaneous attraction towards the object. This verse begins to describe Kama Rupa Ragatmika Bhakti. Now within Ragatmika Bhakti, it is describing Kama Rupa Ragatmika Bhakti. That type of Bhakti, sa, whose very form is prema, not material lust, is called Kamrup in this verse, and no other type, and which produces a thirst for conjugal enjoyment with the Lord as one's essential nature. What is the cause of this Kama being prema? In that Kama Rupa Bhakti, there is only an intense zeal for the happiness of Krishna. So why this Kama is called being prema? Because there is only what? Intense zeal for the happiness of Krishna. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, I don't remember which chapter in the Madhya Leela, it is mentioned how the gopis is to dress very beautifully, not that they can look beautiful, so that when Krishna looks at them, Krishna will find happiness. So that is their mood. And when the gopis, when Krishna is coming from the Charan Leela and the Goduli is happening at the sunset, Krishna with his cowherd boys is coming, dancing, Varha Pidam Natvara Karunayo Karnikardam, that beautiful verse describing Varha Pidam Natvaro Karnikardam, that beautiful verse which is describing how Krishna is entering back into Vrindavan. So the gopis are seeing Krishna, and Krishna is seeing the gopis, and seeing the gopis' beauty, Krishna is getting happiness. And the gopis are feeling happy because Krishna is feeling happy. And they also, because Krishna is feeling happy, they also experience bliss. And because they are experiencing bliss, Krishna experiences bliss. And because they see Krishna is experiencing bliss, the gopis experience bliss. So that the bliss goes on increasing. Ananda Ambudi Vardhanam. So there is no lust in it. It is pure prema with the intense zeal for the happiness of only Krishna. So this is prema. And Kaviraj Goswami in the Chaitanya Charitamrita distinguishes between kama and prema. Kama is like iron and prema is like pure gold. Atmendriya Pritivancha Boli Kam. Krishnendra Pinchivancha Dhare Prema Na. The Chaitanya Charitamrita is there. So Rupa Goswami, Jiva Goswami in his commentary is making it clear here. Okay, next verse. Any questions you have regarding this verse? I just briefly touched upon it. Okay. Yes, Mataji.
Prabhu, actually, I had this doubt. Ragatmika Bhakti is the one which has been followed in Vrindavan. So Raganugas will follow Ragatmikas, devotees. So when we practice sadhana bhakti, does the devotee come to a stage of Raganuga? Because when we practice sadhana bhakti, we see Lord as a supreme, means we know the supremacy of a Lord, right? So
Yes.
means we see him as a Lord and he is having all the opulences. This is how we preach also, or we hear when the senior devotee preaches us.
Okay.
So how is this transaction happens, or I am not able to understand that part.
Yes, yes, yes. When we come to the next topic, the adhikar for practicing Raganuga Bhakti, that time, it will be taken care. The transition happens very gradually uh, from Vaidi Sadhana Bhakti to Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. And how the transition happens, what is the qualification of a sadhaka to practice Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti, Rup Goswami is going to come to that. He's going to come to that. Okay, so kindly hold on for some time and definitely your query will be answered. Any other questions regarding Kama Rupa Ragatmika Bhakti, what was defined by Rupa Goswami? Okay. Now, Rupa Goswami mentions where is this Kam Rupa Ragatmika Bhakti found. Iyam tu Vrajadevishu Suprasiddha Virajate Asam Prema Visheshoyam Prapta Kam Api Madurim Tat Tat Krida Nidanvat Kam Iti Uchate Budhe. This very famous Kama Rupa Bhakti, Iyam Suprasiddha. Iyam means this, and this refers to the previous verse. In the previous verse, there is a connection between this verse and the previous verse. So Iyam, this Kama Rupa, this very famous Kama Rupa Bhakti, Iyam Suprasiddha, appears with brilliance, virajite. I told, manifesting or resplendently brilliance. With brilliance, it is manifesting where? In the women of Vraj. Vrajadevishu, they have a particular type of prema. I am prema vishesho asam. Vishesh, they have a particular type of prema which has a special sweetness. Kam api madhurim prapta. It is called Kam by the wise. Kam iti uchyate budhe. By the wise it is called Kam because it is the cause of various amorous actions. Tat tad krida nidan tvat. Because it causes various amorous actions. So he's clarifying further Kamarupa Ragatmika Bhakti, where it is found and how special it is. Now let us see Jiva Goswami's commentary. The author gives an example of this Kamarupa Bhakti. So where is this Kamarupa Bhakti found? In the Vrajvasis, the gopis. Its famous nature, Suprasiddha, is illustrated in the following verse, which was spoken by the gopis when Krishna left them in the midst of the Ras Leela. This is the last verse of the Gopi Geet. The Kartik month, every year, many of the temples, they, along with the Damodar Ashtakam, sing the Gopi Geet also. It's very famous even in Vrindavan. And the last verse is spoken here. So he is giving that it is illustrated by this verse. Yatte suja charanam buruham staneshu Bhita shane priya tadimai karkasheshu Tena tati vimmatasi tad vetate na kim svet Kripa kurpadibhir brahmadidit pavadayushamna. O dearly beloved, your lotus feet are so soft that we place them gently on our breast, fearing that your feet will be hurt. Our life rests only in you. Our minds, therefore, are filled with anxiety when your tender feet might be wounded by pebbles as you roam about in the forest path. So this is the last verse of the Gopi Beat. So he's giving this as a uh, praman for the gopis' love, Kamarupa Ragatmika Bhakti. But in such examples, the word Kamarupa actually should be Kamatmika, completely filled with thirst. The phrase Kamarupa expresses only bhakti composed of conjugal actions and not conjugal emotions. Whereas the phrase Kamatmika, bhakti completely inundated with conjugal feelings, indicates bhakti endowed with conjugal feelings as well as actions. So there is feeling in the heart of conjugal love, but it should manifest in actions also. So Kamatmika and Kamarupa, just the phrase is what they mean. Jiva Goswami is explaining. It would not be possible for that thirst composed only of actions to cause complete transformation into prema. So here, what Jiva Goswami is trying to say that in sadhana bhakti also, there are, actions which are performed, but there is no still bhava and prema is not there. It is performed because following the rules and regulations. So that is why I'm saying it is not possible. It would not be possible for that thirst composed only of actions to cause complete transformation of transformation into prema. So there is not only action, there is conjugal feelings, and the feelings, thinking, feeling, willing, we say, na, like that. So there is the conjugal feelings, and then there is actions which are composed out of love. So now for us to understand, sometimes this is a little difficult. Let me give you some simple example. Now, Srila Prabhupada's initial disciples who came in touch with Prabhupada was filled with love for Krishna. And these disciples also, they were actually in love with Krishna, in love with Prabhupada, and they were ready to do whatever Prabhupada was saying. That's why they did Herculean tasks, which we can't even imagine. So when we have the object of love, when we have love for the object, and we are ready to do whatever is best we can do with full of all our energy. So, and one example here is of how Prabhupada disciples went to London. And Prabhupada was supposed to first time visit London, and he was supposed to stay Lennon, although he was not so much favorable because his wife was a little skeptical. He felt that if my husband becomes interested in spirituality, I will lose control over him. So she was pushing him away from Krishna consciousness. But John Lennon also was more favorable. George Harrison was completely devoted, we know. So John Lennon said that, okay, let your spiritual master stay in my house. So he gave his own house so that Prabhupada can stay. And the way the disciples were working day and night to make that room ready for Prabhupada. So John Lennon made a statement that, you actually have love for a spiritual master. So there is, the prema is manifested with, the actions. There are actions. So that's the point he's saying. However, even though this Kama Rupa is composed of action, this action will produce a transformation because part of the action is the action of the mind. In the mind, the person thinks Krishna will attain happiness from me. Thus, the transformation into prema in the Atma will take place since both the body and mind are involved. So now, how to understand this? I will just give you one example from the Gita. In the Bhagavad Gita, in the first chapter, verse 29, where Arjuna has observed all his relatives, and then what happens to him, the transformations happen to him. So I will just give you this example the opposite example so that we can understand. So Arjuna here, he is expressing Drushtvaimam Swajanam Krishna Yuyutsam Samapastitam Siddhanti Mama Gatrani Mukam Cha Parishushati. What has happened to me? Seeing all my Swajana in the spirit of fighting, Siddhanti Mama Gatrani, my limbs are trembling and my mouth is getting dry. Vepatushya cha sharire me romaharshasya jayate gandivam samsrate hasta tvakchaiva paridayate. My whole body is trembling. My hair is standing on end. My gandiva bow is slipping from my hand and my skin is burning. Now Prabhupada mentions a very interesting purport. There are two kinds of trembling of the body and two kinds of standing of hair on end. Such phenomena occur either in great spiritual ecstasy or out of great fear under material conditions. There is no fear in transcendental realization. And all Arjun's symptoms were because of the bodily concept of life, he says. So the mind is appeared between the soul and the body. Now, if we are in bodily consciousness, because of bodily consciousness, Arjuna was experiencing fear and he was, experiencing the trembling of the body, the quivering of the limbs. In one sense, he was experiencing Ashtasattvic Vikar, but these are because of bodily consciousness. Now, the same symptoms can be experienced by the soul, pure soul. The soul's emotions manifest through the mind and get exhibited on the body. So there are these Ashtasattvic Vikars which we are quite aware. Hair standing on end, trembling, then horripation. So all these, So these Ashtasattvic Vikars, these are transformations which are happening from the heart. Now the heart here refers to the soul. So the emotional part of the soul. The emotional part of the soul, not the mind. Please remember, the emotional part of the soul. So these Ashtasattvic Vikars are directly manifesting from the Shuddha Sattva platform, from the spiritual platform, from the soul's platform, because the soul has pure emotions towards Krishna, and that's why the mind again is a pivot between the body and the soul. In the first case, now in this case in Arjuna, it is because of material condition, because the consciousness is at the bodily level. But when we become pure Krishna conscious, then these same emotions, they spring from the soul and they manifest from the mind to the body. And that's why here in this statement of Jiva Goswami, it is mentioned, thus the transformation into prema in the Atma will take place since both the body and mind are involved. That's what he's saying. Now, in fact, if you go to the southern wave, quite technically and philosophically, Rupa Goswami explains how the soul's emotions, transformations happen in the body, and like tears coming from the eyes. We know, if tears are coming from the eyes, these are Ashtasattvic Vikars. Now, these tears can come in two conditions. Out of prema, they can come. And what happens? The soul's emotions, they come on the mind, that is the prana. And then particular earth, water, fire, air, ether are there. So there is water element. So they interact with the water element. And that's why the tears come. So that's how it is. Now, in the bodily consciousness, because out of fear, you might be crying. And this crying is also tears are coming. But these transformations are happening from the bodily consciousness. They are affecting the mind. And then they are acting with the prana. And then there is acting with the element water. And then there are tears. So both these phenomena externally look similar. But internally, one is coming from the soul, pure Krishna consciousness, prema from the soul. Other is coming completely from the bodily consciousness. So this is just an explanation I gave. of to understand how this transformation of prema in the Atma will take place, since both the body and mind are involved. Okay, now he gives scriptural proof to this Kama Rupa Ragatmika Bhakti. Tata cha tantre, in the Tantra, Premeva Gopa Ramanam Kama iti agamat pratham. The Kama Rupa Bhakti of the gopis, Gopa Ramanam Kama, has become famous simply as Prema. Premeva iti pratham agamat. So in the Tantra, one reference, scriptural proof, Rupa Goswami gives for Kama Rupa Ragatmika Bhakti. The second reference, he just mentions about from the Bhagavatam, but it is not exactly a Bhagavatam verse, but Uddhava glorifying this prema. Iti Uddhav adayopya etam vanchita bhagavata priya. And because it is a form of exalted prema, itya, persons such as Uddhava, Uddhavadayo api, dear to the Lord, Bhagavata priya, desire that aspect of it. Etad vanchati. So Uddhava also has glorified the prema of the gopis. We know all that when Krishna sent Uddhava as a messenger to Vrindavan to pacify the gopis who were feeling deep separation from Krishna, Uddhava himself thought that I'm a great devotee and a great close associate of Krishna. Nobody is, uh, dear to Krishna than me. So there were two reasons Krishna sent Uddhav only. One is to show the exalted prema of the Vrajvasis, especially the gopis, and then Nand Maharaj and Yashoda, and to also show, to humble him in one sense. So this is the second reference Rupa Goswami gives. Now, Jeev Goswami gives a very nice commentary to this to clarify certain things. The word iti indicates the reason why Kama Rupa Bhakti is well known as prema. Uddhava, by expressing his desire in the following verse, makes that Kama Rupa Bhakti famous as prema. So Uddhava recites this verse after giving the message and seeing the gopis completely maddened and intoxicated in separation of Krishna, and especially Srimati Radharani, she recites the Brahmar Geet. So after all that, then Uddhava glorifies the gopis, especially Srimati Radharani, and he speaks this verse. Heta param tanubrato bhuvi gopavado govinda evalikalatmani ruda bhava bhanchati yad bhavabhiyo munayo vayam cha kim brahma janma bhirananta kata rasasya. Among all persons on earth, Eta Bhuvi, Bhuvi refers to earth, these cowherd women alone, Gopa Vadava Eva, have actually perfected their embodied lives. Param Tanu Brato, for they have achieved the perfection of unalloyed love. Ruda Bhava. Ruda Bhava refers to, actually, technically it refers to Prema, the highest stage of Prema for Lord Govinda. Nikalatmani Govinda. Their pure love is hankered after Yad Vanchati by those who fear material existence. Bhava, Bhiya, by great sages, Munaya, and by ourselves as well, Vayamcha. For one who has tasted the narrations of the infinite Lord, Ananta Kata Rasasya, what is the use of taking birth as a high-class Brahmana or even as Lord Brahma himself? Kim Brahma Janma Bhi. So this is how Uddhava glorifies the prema possessed by the gopis especially. Now, some clarification Jiva Goswami gives regarding the verse he has quoted. The word etam indicates prema similar to theirs, etadrisha. Etadrisha means similar to theirs. I also want similar prem as the gopis. Similar to their intense prema, Ruda Bhav, characterized by emotions, by which they identify themselves as conjugal lovers of Govinda. Now, however, it should be understood that he actually did not desire the gopis' particular type of prema, because such a desire would suggest that he is forcing conformity to the goal of Kama Rupa Bhakti on the desirers of liberation, Bhavabhiya, the liberated, Munaya, and the devotees, Vayam. So he here he's making it very, he did not desire the gopis particular type of prema, because then he would be, you know, forcing the conformity upon these different classes what he has mentioned. Thus there would no existence of other stahi bhavas such as sakya or dasya. So we know Uddhava, in what rasa he was related to Krishna? Anyone knows in which rasa he was related to Krishna? Uddhava? Which rasa? Which is the rasa Uddhava was related to Krishna? Okay, there's one answer, but I would like to hear more. Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else? Uddhava was related to Krishna in two rasas, Sakya and Dasya, but more Sakya. Okay. Now, Yudhishthira Maharaj, in which rasas he was related to Krishna? Anyone would like to try and answer this? Anyone would like to try? Uddhava, in which rasa Krishna? Okay, I'll give you a hint. He's three types of rasas are there, which is related to. This makes it quite simple, so at least anyone would like to try now? I told three. Still everyone is typing one rasa only. Okay, Kalyani Mataji. Okay. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, it is Sakya Rasa, in which Dasya, Shanta, Dasya and Sakya.
No, one is wrong in it.
Vatsalya Rasa was there?
Yes. There was Shanta, Dasya, and Sakya. Why there is Vatsalya, you know? Because Krishna always considered Yudhishthira as superior. That's why he used to go and bow down to Yudhishthira Maharaj. And he had some Vatsalya, you know, affection towards Krishna, blessing him. You know, like children bow down to the parents, there is some Vatsalya affection, right? Okay. So now I'm asking a question which is not related to the subject, but it is very interesting to know. Okay. Yudhishthira is related to Krishna in three rasas: Sakya, Vatsalya, and Dasya. He acted also as servant of Krishna. In fact, he would also engage Krishna as his servant. That was the purity of Yudhishthira Maharaj. Right? Out of prema, blinded by prema, he used to tell Krishna to become a messenger. And Krishna, out of love, he used to, you know, reciprocate like that. Okay. Uddhava is related to Krishna in two rasas, I said. Dasya and Sakya, more in Sakya. Now, Giriraj, there are three Haridasya Varyas, because we are residing very close to Giriraj, so somehow this thought came. He is called as Haridasya Varya, and there are three Haridasya Varyas, right? Giriraj, Yudhishthira Maharaj, and Uddhava. Now, Giriraj is in which rasa related to Krishna? Why among the three, Giriraj is considered superior, Haridasya Varya? the topmost? Two questions I have asked now. Which rasa Giriraj has his relationship with Krishna, and why among the three he's the topmost? He's the topmost among Haridasas. Anyone would like to try? You can try at least. There are a lot of things typed in the chat box. Shantadas. Okay. Yeah, please speak out, because just by typing we can't understand things, and others also would like to hear also. Yes, Mohan Dhruv Sham Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I think the rasa is Dasya rasa. So that is
Okay,
why
excellent.
he is Haridasa warrior, because
Okay.
that is the most what do you say intimate to Krishna, as well as more powerful.
Okay.
Serving Krishna.
Now I'll ask you a question. Govardhan is related in Dasya, only one rasa. Uddhava is related in two rasas, Dasya and Sakya. Yudhishthira in three rasas,
Yes.
Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya. And why, Yudhishthira should be Haridasya Varya? Because he is related to Krishna in three rasas. So why Govardhan is called as Haridasya Varya then? That is
because Govardhan served not only Krishna, is what do you say, the coward people, everybody, the entire Krishna's associates.
Now, can you come little more specific? Think a little more deeper about it. What you said is correct, but I want to know why, you've got the answer, but still, from the rasa point, you should explain it. Why he's the best of the servants of Hari. Anyone else also would like to try? You got it. You got the point, but a little, you need to get more why he's, Dasya is correct. He's in Dasya, but although he's only in one rasa and he's called as, Haridasya Varya, Uddhav and Yudhishthira are in 2 and 3 rasas, so they should be superior. So why? You gave the answer, in fact, but still I want a clarification.
Yeah, that's what in all the circumstances, Giriraj was serving the associates.
Yeah. Something more. Anyone would like to add something more to this? Anyone? You can try at least. Yeah, one. I don't want the answers to be typed. Please speak out. Yes, Dhanalakshmi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. It's mainly because Govardhan provided more specific places and other things for Krishna to put on his pastimes and other things, no? So new places, new scenarios, scenes, new places for their pastimes, maybe that.
Still, it's not coming out clearly. Now, Govardhan is called as Haridasya Varya because he serves Krishna's associates. He facilitates all the different rasas for Krishna. In Shant Ras, in the form of beds, in the form of beautiful lakes, for Krishna to lie down, in the form of, nice grass growing there, soft grass where Krishna can keep his feet. So in Shantaras also, he serves Krishna. In the form of Dasyaras, also he helps his friends who are there. Sakyaras, his friends are there. He serves his friends so that Krishna can enjoy Sakyaras there. He serves in the Vatsalyaras because the elderly Gopas come there and they graze their cows. The elderly cows come, so they have Vatsalya affection towards Krishna. So he facilitates that. And especially for the Madhurya pastimes of Radha and Krishna, he facilitates. So he is in Dasya Rasa, but he facilitates all the different kinds of rasas, all the 5 rasas. Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. And that is why when Krishna lifted Govardhan, all the devotees were able to simultaneously reciprocate with Krishna in different rasas. Yes, the gopis were reciprocating with Krishna in Madhuri Ras. The elderly gopas and the gopis were exhibiting in Vatsalya Ras. The friends of Krishna were joking when Krishna was holding the Govardhan hill. So there was exhibition of Sakya Ras there. And the friends of Krishna who were in Dasya mood, they were serving Krishna there. So like that, Govardhan facilitates all the other 5 rasas. That is why he is Haridasya Parya. So this is just out of context, the matter came up because it's not that he actually desired Kama Rupa Bhakti, but he desired the intensity of their prema. Otherwise, there would be no other, rasas, Thai bhavs like Sakya and Dasya. Uddhav desired the intensity of their prema, but not their Kama Rupa bhav, which causes the intensity. So I also want to have a similar type of prema than them. It doesn't mean that he wanted to have actually the Madhuri Ras. He is situated in his Ras, that is Sakya. And he wanted that same intensity as the gopis have. Thus, when Uddhava says he desires their prema, he does not desire the Kama Rupa bhav. So much Jiva Goswami is giving clear understanding in his commentary. Now, a small verse in the next verse of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rup Goswami clarifies about Kubja. It is not Kama Rupa Ragatmika Bhakti, first of all. So that's why he clarifies. Kama Praya Rati Kintu Kubjayam Eva Sammata. But the wise agree, Kintu Sammata, that the attraction to Krishna seen in Kubjayam Rati, attraction, is essentially due to Kam only. Kama Praya Eva. So now, Jiva Goswami gives a commentary to explain this. That Kubja had a prominence of Kama is evident in her not showing the actions of pure prema of the gopis. She had a prominence of Kama, it is evident because she did not manifest the actions of the pure prema of the gopis, like the gopis stringing garlands for Krishna, singing songs for Krishna's pleasure. So all these actions are not seen in the actions of Kubja. The pure prema is illustrated in the following verse. So he again quotes that Gopi Geet last verse. She, on the other hand, exhibits only lusty desires. So he quotes the verse from the Bhagavatam. Tato rupa gunaudarya sampanna praha keshavam uttaryantam akrishya smayanti jatarichaya. Now endowed with beauty, character, and generosity. Trivikra, Tato, Rupa, Gun Audarya Sampanna, began to feel lusty desires for Lord Keshava. Keshavam, Jata Richaya. Taking hold of the end of his upper cloth, Uttariyantam Akrisha, she smiled, Smayanti. So this verse explains that she exhibited lusty actions. Now, however, she is said to have rati to a small degree. Where is rati? Rati means pure attraction, pure love, because the object of her attraction was Krishna. Because her object of attraction was Krishna. Just like the demons also, when they, like Chaityadev, when they out of fear or out of hatred, they are criticizing Krishna, because the object is Krishna, is all attractive, they also get liberation. So similarly, because her, it was not Kama Rupa Ragatmika Bhakti, but it was Kama Praya, and that's why that attraction object was Krishna. So that is why there is a rati to a small degree. That is what Rupa Goswami clarifies. Okay, so we have finished now Kama Rupa Ragatmika Bhakti. Now, Sambandha Rupa Ragatmika Bhakti is what it will be discussed by Rupa Goswami. Any questions or clarifications anyone has up till now? We will finish Sambandha Rupa Ragatmika Bhakti also, that's quite short. Any questions or clarifications? Okay, before we go into Sambandha Rupa, in Sambandha Rupa, which are the rasas which you can find in the Vrajvasis who have spontaneous attraction towards Krishna? Which are the rasas? Which are the rasas which come in that Sambandha Rupa? Just asking, just to see whether the subject is being understood or not. I hope the question is clear. Please don't type answers. You can raise your hands and answer. Yes, Dhanalakshmi Mataji.
Vatsalya.
Vatsalya comes in Sambandha Rupa. That's what? Only Vatsalya?
Maybe Dhasya.
Okay.
And Sakya also.
Yes, they are also even the Madhurya comes, but because it is special, that is why it is king of all rasas. That's why it has been given Kama Rupa Ragatmika. It is given, it is separated. There is also someone there, but it is special. It is king of all rasas. That's why it is referred as Kama. So all the three come into picture, not only Vatsalya. So that's clear. Okay. Now let us see Sambandha Rupa Ragatmika Bhakti. Tatra Sambandha Rupa. Sambandha Rupa Govinde Pitravata Abhimanita Atro Plakshantaya Vrishninam Vallavamata Yadishya Jnana Shunyatvat Esham Raga Pradhanata. Now he is defining Sambandha Rupa Ragatmika Bhakti. Sambandha Rupa Ragatmika Bhakti, Sambandha Rupa, is that bhakti inspired by great absorption arising from identifying oneself as a parent. Parent is in Vatsalyaras, friend, Sakyaras, or servant of Govinda. Govinde Pitravatadi. Pitravat means parental, and Adi refers to the others, like the Sakya and Dasya. Abhimanita. Abhimanita means Abhiman hai. I am the friend of Krishna. Krishna is my friend. So that kind of Abhiman it is. This refers to the bhakti of the cowherd people, which is indicated by the word Sambandhat Vrishnaya, quoted in verse 275 as an example of Sambandha. Atra upalakshanataya Vrishninam Vallava Mata. We have already discussed this verse, and we mentioned the Vrishni are the Vrishnis of Vraj and not Varka. This is because these other relationships in Vraj also have a predominance of intense affection, raga. Yada esham rage pradhanata, caused by lack of awareness of Krishna as God. Isha jnana shunyatvat. This is the most important part. Isha jnana shunyatvat in Braj Bhakti. That is why only Ragatmika Bhakti exists only in Braj, whether it is Kama Rupa or Sambandha Rupa. Okay, let us see Jiva Goswami's commentary. Pitradi, Pitratvadi, Abhimanita, having identity as a father, etc. of Krishna, actually means inspired by intense affection, raga, caused by that identity as father. I am the father of Krishna. Krishna is my son. The reference to the Vrishnis is from the Bhagavatam verse quoted in verse 275 of the text. One should take the word Vrishni to mean the cowherd men, rather the inhabitants of Mathura and Dwarka. So again, Jiva Goswami is making it very emphatic and clear that Vrishni refers to the Vrajvasis and not in a general sense, we refer to the Dwarkavasis or the Mathuravasis. Now there is a footnote, I think it will come up. This is an example of ajahal lakshana. The original meaning of the word is not given up completely. Ajahal lakshana. Ajahal lakshana. Now what is ajahal lakshana is very interesting. Now here is a note. King Devamida of the Yadu clan had 2 wives. So we know this history. Devamida had 2 wives, one of a Kshatriya family and the other of a Vaishya family. Now from the Kshatriya family, who was born? Anyone knows? Anyone knows who was born from the Kshatriya family of Devamida? Many must have heard this history. Anyone knows? Surikund Prabhuji, yes.
Is it Sura, Prabhuji?
Yes, excellent. And from Sura, who was born?
From Sura. That I don't
Oh, it's the father of Krishna. Who is it?
know. Is it Vasudev?
Not Vasudev, Vasudev.
Vasudev, yeah, Vasudev.
Vasudev is the name of Krishna.
Okay.
Krishna's father's name is Vasudev. Va
Yes.
and Va. There is difference. One is
Yes.
short and one is long. Okay,
Yes.
then from the Vaishya family, who was born? You only can answer. Anyone knows else?
Is it Prajanya?
Parjanya, Parjanya.
Yeah,
Parjanya is also the name of the cloud also, and it is the name. Okay. And from Parjanya, who was born?
From Prajanya. Is it Nanda?
Yes, yes. Why are you hesitating so much? It's
Yeah,
Nand Maharaj.
no, Prabhuji, I was.
Parjanya had 5 sons.
Yeah.
Upananda, Nanda, Sunanda, Nanda, and one more I don't recollect, like that. 5 sons. Among them, none was the middle one. Through the Kshatriya wife, he bore a son named Sura. And through the Vaishya wife, he bore a son named Parjanya. Sura had a son named Vasudev, a Kshatriya. And Parjanya had named, sorry, there is some mistake here. I don't know, I had deleted it still. It has come. I don't know. Okay. Yeah. And Parjanya had a son named Nanda, a cowherd. So this is how it is, Devamida, Kshatriya wife and Vaishya wife, Sura, Vasudev, then Parjanya, Nanda. Thus, Nanda and his family of cowherds should be considered Vrishnis also, because the Vrishni Vamsha is coming from Devamida. However, usually the terms refers to the Vrishni family in Mathura and Dwarka. So whenever we, till now at least, I think before studying Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, everyone knew that Vrishni means it is, the family of Mathura, Dwarka, Vrishni, especially the Dwarkavasis are called as Vrishnis. In Lakshana, the direct meaning must be given up in favor of some other meaning where the direct meaning does not make sense. Now, this is, I think this you'll study in your Ishopanishads, but just to give an hint, now, the meanings of the Shastras, especially the Puranas and the Mahabharata, there is the literal sense you have to understand. Then there is the ethical sense and the metamorphical sense. Now, metamorphical is what is called as Lakshana. Now, the literal sense means literally what is the meaning of the verse. Take the literal meaning, it is said. Now, ethical reading means, what are the ethical lessons you can draw? Like Sita was attracted to the deer, the golden deer. And because Sita got attracted to the golden deer, she had separation from Ram. Similarly, if we are attracted to Maya, then we are separated now from the Lord. So we should not be attracted to Maya. So these are some ethical lessons we can draw. So then there is the third, that is the metamorphical sense. Metamorphical sense means like we can, say that uh, Devahuti gave birth to 6 sons who were all killed by Kamsa, right? So these 6 sons are compared to the enemies. 6 enemies in our heart: Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, and Matsarya. So Kamsa was very fearful that whenever Devaki gave a birth, he was very fearful, and immediately he used to kill. Immediately when the son was born. Now, what lesson we can learn metamorphically is, it is that literal event happened, that Kamsa actually killed each of the sons. But metamorphically, what we should see is that Devaki, this is a metamorphical reading, it is called. Devaki is considered as Bhakti, personified Bhakti, because in her womb, Krishna was there. So similarly, in the heart of the devotee, there is Bhakti. And Kamsa is that healthy fear. Whenever Kama attacks a devotee, he should fear, oh my goodness, lusty desires are coming. So fearing like that, what will happen? We'll be able to eradicate the lusty anarthas in our heart. So this is a metamorphical sense of reading of scriptures. So there is a reading of scriptures in a literal sense. We just read the pastimes and purification of the heart happens. Then there is the ethical sense, and then there's a metamorphical sense. So I'll have to show you the slides, otherwise it will be difficult for you all to get it. So I'll just open the slides and show you. This is a little important, and I don't know whether you will be dealing this in your Ishopanishads classes, because in the Ishopanishads classes, usually I present all the philosophical concepts. So I will just show you the slides so that you can get an idea of it. Okay, 1 minute. Give me a minute. Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. So I was mentioning literal, ethical, metamorphical. The events described in these literatures happened historically as they are described. Like Mahabharata, the Kurukshetra war happened. It's not that, oh no, there was no war, only it is a metaphor. Kurukshetra means, this body and the 5 senses are the 5 Pandavas. Pandavas did not exist. No, it is a literal historical event. Ethical sense means what, moral benchmarks or lessons you can take for our present ethical making decision. Metamorphical, symbolized truths relevant to seekers on the spiritual road. Like, we symbolize Devaki as Bhakti. And the 6 sons which are killed as the 6 enemies in our heart, Kama, Krodha, Lobha. And Kamsa is what? Personified fear. So these are literal, metamorphical. So especially in reading Puranas, Ramayana, it is required. Ethical reading, I said, Raman abducts Sita. Literal reading purifies. Ethical, Sita got attracted to the golden deer. Ethical lesson, not to be attracted to Maya when we are in the Lord. Metamorphical, the 6 sons, I mentioned this. Now, further, Lakshana, metamorphical. Now, little bit important it is for Shastric understanding. Metamorphical has to be done carefully and not taken in a proper context, so that we don't make misjudgments. Like, there is no Kurukshetra. We just take it as a metaphor. No, Prabhupada, that's why is to hammer. There is Kurukshetra. It is near Delhi, Prabhupada is to say. It is a historical place, and now also the place name is Kurukshetra. Metamorphical reading has to be done in such a way that it is consistent with the scriptural message. It should be consistent with the scriptural message. And metamorphical should supplement, not supplant the literal reading, unless the literal reading leads to obvious absurdities. Now here is the point. His house is on Ganga. This is an absurd statement. How can a house be on Ganga? So Gangayam Vasati. You have heard this? Gangayam Vasati. So what does it mean? Is it to be taken literally or no? It cannot be taken literally. Why? Because you cannot have a house on Ganga. So we have to that time take it in a metamorphical sense. When it says Gangayam Vasati means his house is on the bank of Ganga. On the bank of Ganga. So similarly here, what we are now studying in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the technical term which had come, is a slide. In Lakshana, the direct meaning must be given up in favor of some other meaning where the direct meaning does not make sense. The direct meaning when it doesn't make sense, like I told you, Gangayam Vasati, his house is on Ganga. This must make sense. But when you know, the literal reading, it cannot be taken literally. So you'll have to take it, through Lakshana. Lakshana Vritti it is called, in fact. I have not come to that. Lakshana Vritti it is called. And there is Mukhya Vritti, Gauna Vritti and Lakshana Vritti. Again, I'll have to explain what is Mukhya Vritti, Gauna Vritti and Lakshana Vritti. I will explain that because, yeah, this is important for us to especially study scriptures, and many devotees have, they will expand their understanding of scriptures. We should consider that words have three kinds of expressive capacities called Shabda Vrittis. These are the different ways a word conveys its meaning, distinguished as Mukhya Vritti, Lakshana Vritti, and Gauna Vritti. Vritti means the mode of understanding the meaning of the word. Vritti means that. So there is direct meaning, there is Lakshana, indirect meaning it is called, and Gauna Vritti. The direct, indirect, and the symptomatic. Symptom is it's said sometimes. The Shabdvritti term Mukhya Vritti is the primer, literal meaning of the word. This is known as Abhidha. Abhidha Vritti. The Mukhya Vritti is called as Abhidha Vritti also. A word's denotation or dictionary meaning. Mukhya Vritti is further divided into two subcategories, namely Rudhi and Yoga. Of course, there is a technical between difference. In Mukhya, there is this two. A primary meaning is called Rudhi when it is based on conventional usage, and the Yoga when it is derived from another word's meaning by regular etymological roots. Now, what is, Rudhi? I will give you an example. We saw at least the Mukhya Vritti means the direct literal meaning of the word. What is the dictionary meaning? That is the Mukhya Vritti. And within Mukhya Vritti, we saw there are two categories, Rudhi and Yoga. Now, Krishna, the word Krishna can have two meanings. Anyone can think about it? Krishna can have two meanings. You can understand Krishna two ways. Conventionally and etymologically. Anyone can think about something? Krishna, when you say Krishna, you can think in a conventional way and in an etymological way. You can derive the meaning. Anyone can try at least. Try. Yes, Kalyani Mataji. Yes.
Krishna.
Audio.
Krishna, one meaning is all attractive.
Okay, that is what it is, etymological sense, or is it a conventional sense?
I'm just trying to.
Yeah, but all attractive you said. It is in a conventional sense what you said, or etymological sense?
I didn't understood this two terms also right now.
Oh,
just
yes. Okay. Okay. At least you have tried. What you said is correct only, in fact. Okay. Any other? Krishna,
probably one more. We can say that black cloud.
Oh no. This is interpretation what the Mayavadis do. Okay. Now I'll explain what is conventional usage and etymological usage. Conventional usage means Krishna means who? Son of Mother Yashoda. That is conventional usage. Who is Krishna? Krishna is the son of Mother Yashoda who drinks Mother Yashoda's breast milk. That's how Jiva Goswami explains in the Brahma Samhita commentary. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamham Bhajami, Ishwara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. So Krishna there means the son of Mother Yashoda. So that is called as conventional usage. Etymological usage means you go to the Sanskrit root word of the meaning. Krishna and Na. Krishna and Na means Akarshati iti Krishna. One who attracts everyone. He is Krishna. So now when I explain the meaning of Krishna from the etymological sense, that is called as Rudhi. That is called as a primary meaning is called Rudhi when it is based on conventional usage. Conventional usage is son of Mother Yashoda, and yoga when it is derived from another word's meaning by regular etymological rules. Now I told na Krish and Na. Akarshati iti Krishna. You have to go to the Sanskrit to understand, how that Krishna means and Na means all attractive. Krishna means to attract, Na means all. So one who attracts all. So this meaning we have derived from etymological roots. So that is called as yoga, and one is conventional usage. So in Shabda Vritti, especially Mukhya Vritti, direct dictionary meaning, we have these two divisions, Rudhi and yoga. Now example is given. For example, the word go, cow, is an example of Rudhi, since its relationship with its literal meaning is purely conventional. It's a conventional. Go means cow. The denotation of the word pachaka, chef, on the other hand, is yoga vritti through the word derivations from the root pach. Pach means to cook by addition of a suffix called ka, pachaka, one who cooks. So here we are going into the etymological roots. So that is why that is yoga vritti. So this is this I'm explaining from Prabhupada purpose, from the Bhagavatam. This is explained. Now next, besides the Mukhya Vritti, primary meaning, a word can also be used in a secondary metamorphical sense. This usage is called Lakshana. The rule is that the word should not be understood metamorphically if the Mukhya Vritti makes sense in the given context. Only after the Mukhya Vritti fails to convey a word's meaning may Lakshana Vritti be justifiably presumed. So if the Mukhya Vritti, when you are trying to understand a verse, if the Mukhya Vritti doesn't make sense, then you look into the what? Lakshana Vritti. In the Lakshana Vritti you look. Metamorphical sense. Now, the famous example I give is Arjuna's question, Sita Pragyasya ka bhasha, Samadhistasya Keshava, Stita di kim prabhasheta, kim masita vrajeta kim. Now, this is a verse, ka bhasha, what is his language? How does he speak? How does he walk? And how does he sit? Now, does this make any sense? The literal meaning? Does it make any sense to us? Is Arjuna asking about models who walk on the stage? How does this person walk? How does he sit for taking his photograph? How does he walk? How does he talk? Which language he talks? Sanskrit or English or Bengali or Russian? So is Arjuna asking that these are the symptoms of a self-realized soul? So when you say Mukhya Vritti, if you take the Mukhya meaning, how does he walk? How does he talk? How does he sit? This doesn't make sense. So we cannot take the direct meaning that time. We'll have to see the indirect meaning. So ka bhasha means what? Bhasha can mean also symptoms. What are the symptoms of a self-realization? And kim prabhaseta means how does he speak means it is not literally speak. How does he, when he is given in a situation, how does he in his mind think? When he's put in a very distressed situation, how does he take it? He says, this is because of my prarabdha. I just tolerate it. That's a self-realized symptom. And how does he sit means how does it? He doesn't sit. He doesn't squat. How does he sit means how does he control his senses? How he controls. And how does he walk means that when his senses are in contact with the sense objects, what are the symptoms of that person in this world? So like that, there is a deeper meaning. There is the Mukhya Vritti is not making sense. So you will have to look into the Gauna Vritti. So that is called as the Lakshana Vritti. Sometimes it is called as a Lakshana Vritti. The function of Lakshana is technically explained in the Kavya Sastras as an extended reference pointing to something in some way related to the object of the literal meaning. Thus, the phrase Gangayam Gosha literally means the cowherd village is on Gangas. Gangayam Gosha, I told. But that idea is absurd. So here, Gangayam should rather be understood by its Lakshana to mean on the bank of Ganges. The bank being something related to the river. Gauna Vritti is a special kind of Lakshana where the meaning is extended to some idea of similarity. Now here the Gauna Vritti is little technically different from Lakshana Vritti. Now here the example, there is some similarity. For example, in the statement, Simmo Devadatta. Devadatta is a lion. Heroic. Devadatta is metamorphically called a lion because of his lion-like qualities. So there is some kind of similarity. Lion is very, very powerful. He's fearless. So you are comparing one person to a lion because he has those similar qualities like a lion. In contrast, the example of a general kind of Lakshana, namely Gangayam Gosha, involves a relationship not of similarity but of location. So this is in 1087.1, the personified Vedas, the Shruti, glorifying the Supreme Personality. First purport, the proper disciples have explained this because that's a very, very difficult chapter to understand. So this is how we should try to understand in the Bhagavad Gita verses also. Kair lingan teen gunan etan atito bhavati Arjuna. When Krishna speaks about the three modes, after speaking about three modes, Arjuna asks a question, Kair lingan teen gunan etan atito bhavati Arjuna. What is the linga? Linga is the term he has used of a person who has transcended the three modes. What is the linga? Now, in literal sense, especially in India, traditionally, linga, what it refers to, anyone knows? Yes, Mohan Rup Sham Prabhu is murmuring something. Maybe he knows. Yes.
Lord Shiva?
Yes, but something else also. Yes. Yes, those who are coming from traditional background. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, is it a gender?
Yes, it is a gender. When a child is born, they will ask what is his linga? Whether it is
Pulling.
Pullinga, yes.
Linga and pulling.
Yes, linga. Yes. So Arjuna is asking, whether what is the linga of a person who is, transit? No, linga can literally mean, whether it is Strilinga, Pulling, whether it's male or female. But here you have to go to the deeper meaning. You cannot take the Mukhya Vritti. You will have to take the Lakshana Vritti, the indirect meaning. Linga means also symptoms. So Arjuna asking, what are the symptoms of a person who has transcended the three modes? So all this we discuss in the Isha Upanishads, in fact, because Isha Upanishads lays the foundation for the philosophy to understand Bhagavad Gita. So that's how, why I'm discussing this. I've not detoured, but it is important sometimes when terms come, we have to clarify. So now still we have come to only, Lakshana, when the direct meaning does not make sense. So the direct meaning does not make sense. But what is this ajahal Lakshana? What is this ajahal Lakshana? If the meaning is given up completely, then it is called Jahal Lakshana. If the meaning is completely given up, the direct meaning is completely given up, it is called as Ajahal Lakshana. But If only part of the original meaning is given up, it is called ajalaha lakshana. Only a part of the original meaning is given up. Now, in this case, the complete meaning of Vrishni is not given up. We don't completely give up the meaning of Vrishni, because Vrishni also can refer to Vrajavasis, but must refer only to Nanda's lineage of the cowherd men in the Vrishni line, and not the inhabitants of Mathura and Dwarka, since their devotion was mixed with Aishwarya. They had Aishwarya Bhav also. So that is why we saw what is Lakshana. Jahala Lakshan means when the complete meaning is given up, but only part of the original meaning is given up. Then it is called as Jahala Lakshana. So we take only the Nanda's Vrishni, and part of it we take, and we don't completely give up. We separate it from the Mathura and the this. This is a little technical. I included it just so that we can have a little bit understanding about what is the example of Ajala Lakshana and the lineage here. Okay. So, Vishwanath Chakra Thakur. The word Vrishnaya and the phrase Sambandha Vrishnaya, the Vrishnis attain perfection by relation, indicates Vallava, cowherd men. Vallava refers to cowherd men. There is Vallava, no, Vallabha. Vallabh means very dear. Radha Vallabha we say, na? Gopi Jana Vallabha. So these are Vallava is what? The cowherd men. The cowherd men are referred to Vallava. The reason for indicating only the cowherd men instead of meaning both the cowherd men and the Yadus is then given by the phrase because they have predominance of spontaneous absorption caused by lack of awareness of Krishna's God. The sense of the verse is as follows. Bhakta Evavam referred to Vaidhi Bhakti, and the Vrishni's Bhakti would be included in that type of Bhakti. In the beginning of the verse, the gopis are mentioned as the prime examples of Kama Rupa Ragatmika Bhakti. Therefore, the residents of Vraj, the cowherd men, should be considered as the chief examples of Sambandha Rupa Ragatmika Bhakti. If the meaning of Vrishni is taken to be the relatives in Dwarka, the enumeration of types of Bhakti would be incomplete with the fault of deficiency, because the Dwarkas will not come. They are not Ragatmika Bhaktas. We have clearly discussed that. Further, there are 2-3 slides. Let us finish. Kama Sambandha Rupete Prema Matra Swarupake Nitya Siddha Ashritaya Natra Samyak Vicharate. Since Kama Rupa and Sambandha Rupa Bhakti, Kama Sambandha Rupate, which are caused by Prema alone, Prema Matra Swarupake, take shelter of the Nitya Siddhas, Nitya Siddha Ashritaya, they have not been discussed in this section thoroughly. Atrana Samyak. Samyak means thoroughly or perfectly. Vicharatu. Discussed. Jiva Goswami. Swarupa here means cause. The Nitya Siddhas, such as Nanda, are the main shelters of this type of bhakti. Because of this, these two are not thoroughly discussed in this section of sadhana, but will be discussed in other topics. So especially in the southern division, in the western division, northern division, Rupa Goswami will discuss. Vishwanath Chakra Thakur. There are many sub-varieties in Kama Rupa and Sambandha Rupa Bhakti. There are many sub-varieties. Why are these varieties not mentioned? This verse answers. Because, it cannot be discussed here. These two, Kama Rupa and Sambandha Rupa Bhakti, exist only on the level of Prema. They are only at the level of Prema. The main places in which they manifest are the Nitya Siddhas such as Nanda. The word Ashrayata, taking shelter, expresses a state of being, remain within. They remain within them. Because these two types of bhakti remain within the Nitya Siddhas, they are not thoroughly discussed in this section dealing with sadhana. Na atra samyak vicharate. However, they will be discussed in appropriate chapters. That is especially the southern and the western division. When Dasya Ras, Vatsalya Ras will be coming, that time it will be discussed. Ragatmikaya Dvai Vividat Vidaraganucha Sa Kamanuga Cha Sambandhanuga Sambandha Nuga Cheti Nigatyate. From these types of Ragatmika Bhakti, Siddha Bhakti, Dvai Vidatva Ragatmikaya, two types of Raganuga Bhakti, Sadhana Bhakti, Dvida Raganuga Chasa, called Kamanuga, and Sambandhanuga Bhakti are derived. Kamanuga cha Sambandhanuga cha iti nigatyate. Having described the qualities of Ragatmika Bhakti as a secondary topic, it's a secondary topic because we are discussing Raganuga Bhakti. And because we were discussing Raganuga Bhakti definition, where it was mentioned that the Raganuga Bhaktas follow the Ragatmika Bhaktas, Rup Goswami had to discuss who are these Ragatmika Bhaktas by? They are the Vrajvasis. And within this Ragatmika, there is Kama Rupa and Sambandha Rupa. And he had to give scriptural proof. Then he had to discuss, whether they attain the same destination in the scriptural proof. No, the demons killed. They attain Brahman. And then he had to define now Kama Rupa Ragatmika Bhakti, which is found in conjugal love in Madhurya Ras. Sambandha Rupa, which is found in Vatsalya, Dasya and Sakya. So now he has not discussed in detail Ragatmika Bhakti because the subject matter here is of Sadhana Bhakti. It will be dealt somewhere. But this Ragatmika Bhakti, which is of two types in Siddhas, found in Siddhas. Similarly, there are two types of Raganuga Bhakti. And they are called as Kamanuga, Sambandhanuga. So having described the qualities of Ragatmika Bhakti as a secondary topic, the qualities of Raganuga Sadhana, the topic of this section, is now described. Okay. I have a chart, I think. Yes. Now, Bhakti, this is Siddha Bhakti. Huh? There is Kama Rupa Ragatmika Bhakti. Which rasa is this and what are the examples? Anyone raise your hands. Just want to know whether are we getting the subject clearly or no. Kama Rupa Ragatmika Bhakti, which rasa is this and what are the examples of these? Anyone would like to try? Raise your hands. Anyone? Anand Prabhuji, I would like to ask you, are you there? Hare Krishna. Okay. Dhanalakshmi Mataji,
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
which ras is this?
Madhurya Rasa,
And what are the examples?
Gopis, Vrajavasis.
Vrajvasis are include all, there are cowherd men also. But Vrajadevishu, Vrajadevi, when it was referred, it refers to the gopis. Now, Sambandha Rupa Ragatmika Bhakti, which rasas these can be in, and what are the examples? Anyone else? I would like to ask. Wait, we'll ask others also. I'll have to ask them now because, yeah, somebody had raised a hand. Yes. Yes, Mataji. Deepa Dhatri Krishna Priya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. In some thing there are three rasas. One is Vatsalya Ras, Dasya Ras, and Sakya Ras.
Sakya Ras. Okay. Examples?
So example for Sakya Ras and Dasya Ras is Uddhava and Yudhishthira.
No. Okay, that was given in a different context.
Okay.
That was given in Vatsalya Ras examples you can give.
Vatsalya is
Who are in Vatsalya?
mother and father of Krishna.
Who are they?
Vasudev and Devaki.
No. Why Mother Devaki and Vasudev? How can they be Ragatmika?
Oh, sorry, Prabhu.
Yes, that's why I'm asking these questions.
Yeah, Nanda Maharaj and
Yashoda. Because Ragatmika Bhakti is only found in Vasudev and the elderly Gopas and the Gopis there. Okay. Sakya Ras.
Sakya Ras is the gopis, that is cowherd.
Gopis?
No, the friends of Krishna, that is the Gopas.
Can you give some names?
Subala,
Sridhama.
Sudhama, Stoka Krishna.
Oh, wonderful. What about Arjuna of the Kurukshetra battlefield?
So, yeah, yes, Prabhu.
How? Yes. He's a
He comes
Vrajavasi.
as a friend.
He comes as a friend, but he has knowledge of that Krishna is God?
No. Afterwards, only when Bhagavad Gita is spoken, then only.
Oh, before he did not have knowledge. You have to have a clear understanding. Arjuna has knowledge about the Aishwarya of the Lord.
Yes.
But he is not a Vrajavasi. So that, those Sakas are quite, they don't have knowledge that Krishna is, they don't accept Krishna as God. So that is the difference. There is Aishwarya Gyan. That's what I've been repeatedly hammering at this point. Okay. So then there are the servants of Krishna like Chitrak and Raktak and Patrak, Now, what is this verse saying? Based on these two types of Ragatmika Bhakti, there are two types of Raganuga Bhakti. Kamanuga and Sambandhanuga. Kamanuga and Sambandhanuga. Now, my question to you all is, please hear carefully. The Kamanuga follow whom? Because, Raganuga means to follow the Ragatmika. The Kamanuga follow whom is my question among the Siddha Bhaktas. Raise your hand to answer this question. The Kamanugas follow whom? Because Raganuga means you have to follow the Ragatmika. And within Ragatmika, there are these two categories. So the Kamanuga, Raganuga Bhaktas, there are Kamanuga Raganuga Bhaktas, they follow whom? And I have shown you the chart. At least see the chart and get some hint. Anyone would like to try? Or I'll have to ask you all. Anyone? There's one hand raised. Yes, Vaishali Mataji.
Gopis, na Prabhu.
But can you be specific? Give the specific term.
Because
no. Can you give the specific term which has been used by Rupa Goswami in the verse? They follow the Ragatmika Bhaktas, and you know that there are two types of Ragatmika Bhakti we have studied now till now. So they follow the whom? The Kamanuga, Raganuga Sadhakas follow whom?
Kama Rupa Ragatmika.
Yes. And the examples are the gopis. The examples are the gopis. Okay. The Sambandhanuga, Raganuga Sadhakas follow whom?
Sambandha Rupa Ragatmika.
Yes, that's it. So because there are these two divisions of Ragatmika Bhakti in Siddha Bhakti, there are two types of Raganuga Bhakti, Sadhana Bhakti, Kamanuga Bhakti, Sambandhanuga Bhakti. The Kamanuga follow the Kama Rupa Ragatmika Bhakti because they also have that mood to attain, Madhurya Ras. The Sambandhana, especially the gopis of Vrindavan, not, the queens of Dwarka, because that doesn't come in Madhurya. Doesn't come in Ragatmika Bhakti. The Sambandhanuga follow the Sambandha Rupa Ragatmika Bhaktas, Siddha Bhaktas. Either Nand Maharaj or Yashoda or Sridhama or Sudhama, if it is the Sakyaras, or Chitrak and Patrak, Raktak, So because they are more having that mood dasya. So there are these two types of Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. Now comes the topic of qualification for Raganuga Bhakti, which we will take in the next class. I took a little more time today because first I revised what we have discussed so that we get a clear understanding of the flow of thought. And that's why, and little I took a detour of a technical section of what is Lakshana, Vritti. That's why I discussed what is Lakshana Vritti. There is a literal sense of reading of the literal reading. There is a ethical reading and a metamorphical reading where we symbolize symbolic representations and how to understand the meanings of the word. Mukhya Vritti. In Mukhya Vritti, we saw there is Rudhi and Yoga. Rudhi is conventional. Yoga is etymological, going to the root of the meanings of the words. And then there is Gauna Vritti. and then there is Lakshana. Lakshana Vritti and then Gauna. Gauna has some similarity when there is similar qualities like Devadatta Simha. And in Gauna, there is no similarity, but there is some relationship. Gangayam, Gosham, the villages on Ganga. So there is some relationship. There is relationship of Ganga on the bank of Ganga. So that's what was a little technical discussion which we had. So today we have discussed Kama Rupa Ragatmika Bhakti, what Rupa Goswami defines, and Sambandha Rupa Raganuga. And because there are these two types of Ragatmika Bhakti, there are two types of Raganuga Sadhana Bhaktis in sadhakas. There is Kamanuga and Sambandhanuga. Okay. So now Rupa Goswami is going more into now qualification of what is the qualification required to practice Raganuga Bhakti, and then what is the practice of a Raganuga Sadhaka will be discussed further. So that all we will take up tomorrow. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Shri Rupa Goswami Pad ki